Stu, and I am about to go around to little free libraries and maybe some thrift shops. Video is kind of my own self-reflection around if I should be or shouldn't be thrifting books. Always the conundrum of a book enthusiast of, you know, what hauling and unhauling looks like. To date, I have 100% hauled from either friends of the library, sort of like garage or thrift sales and or thrift stores, or little free libraries. And then I have 100% unhauled every book, either to friends, colleagues, and or other loved ones, and or back to the friends of the library donations or into little free libraries. I read 42 books this summer, most of which I had a physical copy from. I had unshelved a whole bunch of books. If not, I came and unshelved it when I got back. And so I have this tote of a good amount of books, which I plan to distribute into little free libraries when I finish this video. As I was kind of going through these books, I was thinking less about the plot and the synopsis and the author, and more about where did I haul this book from? And did I pay money, albeit I've never paid more than maybe $4 for a book? Not never. I rarely have, I think is the right thing to say. It put me into a little bit of a contemplative space, meaning like the majority of these books came from thrift stores. So I paid $3 to $4, maybe more, maybe less. But the $3 to $4 range is probably what I paid for each of these books. And none of them I engaged in the physical copy with, because these were all read digitally while traveling over the summer, where I, was living out of a backpack and couldn't haul around books. It made me sit and think again about what is the experience of hauling, what is the experience of owning physical books. My library space is pretty full, so maybe I don't need, more because of space limitations. And is there an opportunity for me to stop paying for books and just engage in hauling and unhauling through little free libraries and getting my 2 free books a week from the friends of the library, to either save a little money, although the money is quite nominal, honestly, especially since I don't do that many discretionary things apart from travel. So it's still in thought, but I do have to continue to say there is a joy in the physical copy, even if I don't read from it. And even if I haul from a thrift store, although admittedly I need to be more limited than I was before, just to donate into little free libraries via a path of me reading and vlogging about it, then I still think this is a very worthwhile endeavor. I'm still, like, even as I'm holding Commonwealth and seeing the picture of Anne Patchett here, I'm thinking, I may have never read any part of this book, but something about owning, something about organizing it, something about even talking about it in this unhaul video, is still quite worthwhile for me. So those are just my thoughts. As I arrive at little free libraries, I'm totally committed to just unhauling. There's a big stack of books here. I don't want them just sitting kind of in a pile. But I'm also completely willing to haul more, and I might even stop at a thrift shop today because I have some donations I want that aren't other than books, and just have a look. As one reads more and more and more, they become more discerning. I think naturally I try to keep that in check with curiosity, but it is kind of nice to have a physical library which is really curated of books that you are likely going to read or like. And it still helps me make my TBRs, and or it's just, the vibes of having a physical library. I haven't had one for years and years. Still feel kind of right on. These books, obviously, I'm not giving to friends. These are going out to little free libraries. However, there's pretty substantial stack of books that I read over the summer as well that I'm going to be giving to friends, and that has to be friends, loved ones, colleagues, or have already given. And I think that has to be part of this conversation as well. The promotion of reading, and of books and bookishness, and reading for pleasure, reading for information, reading for empathy, is all something that I'm really on board with. And sort of what I've been doing for the last year falls in line with that as well. Let's just go over these books. I've talked about them, most likely. You didn't see them if you're watching these videos, because I was talking about them over summer reading and they were digital. And oh, bless my vlogging. It's not taken very seriously at all. It's more just a conversation that I can have with myself and anyone else who cares to listen around books. So I probably just mentioned it, and if I liked it or not, or some synopsis over the summer, as I know that I finished it. And almost all books that I finished, I made some kind of blog. Anyway, the first one is Ann Patchett's Commonwealth. I think this is my second or third Ann Patchett book that I've read, maybe third, yeah. And I have 2 or 3 more on my shelf. She continues to be a solid author. This wasn't one of my more favorite of her reads, but I still really appreciated this book. And I did thrift this one. I got it from a Goodwill. It's going to a little free library today. This was one of my longer held books. This is Purple Hibiscus by I think it's Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie. And I understand that there's some controversy around this author. I was really just interested in the words on the page. Really, really liked this book. And I had had it for quite a while. It was actually one of my first Goodwill thrifts when I decided that I would maybe pay for books. This one I did read a little bit physically because it was at the beginning of the summer before I left. Super happy also to put that back into a little free library. The Whisper Network. This came from, oh, no, this was also a thrift. I thought it was a little free library find, but nope, this was a thrift as well. As it's a hardback, I believe I got it at a Goodwill, so I paid $4 for it. I read this at the beginning of the summer as well. I ended up liking it much more than I thought I would, which is always a great surprise, right? To like a book more than you thought. And this sort of like Reese's Book Club sticker doesn't mean a lot to me, but I think that it does when people are going to little free libraries and figuring out what they want to read or not. It's also a hardback in absolute pristine condition. There's not even a wrinkle on the page. This Michael Chabon book, I was super excited to get to reading this summer. His voice in his narration is a little bit more sort of like masculine than I'm usually prepared to read. Not because I don't like masculine voices, not because I don't need all kinds of perspectives in my life. It's just they're so overwhelmingly present. This story about the Yiddish Policemen's Union and the Jewish sort of refugees that resided and then started this police union in Alaska was fantastic. His writing style was fun and engaging. I love the cover of this book. Again, it's quite pristine. I did thrift this as well. And I think this is going to be a stellar find for someone in a little free library. I also have I've almost his whole collection, I think, honestly. So I was glad to get to reading him to see if I really liked him, because when I started sort of hauling books by an author that I hadn't read yet and getting a collection, I was wondering kind of what I was doing in my sort of haul phases. So yeah, certainly worth reading again, and I think that book will be a good find in a little free library. This Kafka on the Shore, this Murakami book, it's my second Murakami book. I liked Norwegian Wood more, as I said in that video. I listened to this audioly, and I listened while traveling around Tokyo and surrounding areas, and I think there was something really special about being in Japan. I would love to be able to give this book to my child, they are not a reader the way that I am, and so I just don't think it would be worth holding on to influence. And they tend to be more into graphic novel, manga kind of stuff. But this was geared to a much younger audience as I read it than myself, and I thought because of kind of the existentialisms that are very interesting in that phase of life. And because my child also went to Japan this summer on their own with friends, that this could be compelling. However, I'm making the decision not to hold on to it. If the time comes when my child becomes more of a sort of like leisure reader, then I'll have it in my mind as one that I can recommend to him. This Long Way to a Small and Angry Planet reminded me so much of Douglas Adams, whose collection, The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, I still have. I carried around almost like a Bible. Speaking of which, when I was about the age of my child now, and I just, for nostalgic reasons, hold on to it. It's been a long time for a reread. This book reminded me so much of that, and for that reason, I think there's a lot of sort of nostalgia in reading this book. This book I actually got from a little free library, and I know exactly which one, and I'm almost wondering if I'm going to today take it back after these, 6 months to that same little free library. It could end up somewhere else. I think this book would appeal to younger audiences as well as fully adult audiences as well. This book I got from Goodwill, and it obviously came from Half Price Books as well. It's in very good condition for the journey it's made. Loved this book, The Folded Earth. This is, in my life, my second Andarutha Roy book, but not in this reading, and I think I might have another one of hers on the shelf. Definitely an author worth reading. I have people in my mind that I think that I could give this book to who would really like this book, but as that stack is quite big too, I think, given that this author came and spoke at our public libraries in the not so distant past, was someone who would have been on the summer bingo as an author, as to fill that kind of a space, I think this book will go over well in a little free library. Barbara Kinslover's Animal Dreams. This was given to me for free in addition to my 2 free books at the Friends of the Library because it's an older paperback, and I think that they kind of didn't see the value in putting it on their shelves. I didn't ask, but it was in a free stack, and I was talking about Barbara Kinslover and how I had read her in the past, and they had actually a stack of her books, and this is the one I couldn't remember if I'd read or not. And even after reading it this summer, I still am not clear if I had read it, in the 1990s or not, because one reads a lot, and I read quite a bit of her. She was quite popular during that time. She's still writing and still relevant. I thought this was a very contemporary fiction book, but I still think there's a lot of relevance in this setting as the place, even though the place and time is contempt fiction. Like, there's just a lot going on that I think would be useful for contemporary readers to engage with. I still think this is a very decent book to find in a little free library. I don't disregard it as something that somebody wouldn't be excited to find, even though it was kind of in the free pile as a not so relevant book from the Friends of the Library. So I'm going to go ahead and put it in and think that somebody's going to find it and be a Barbara Kinslover fan, or kind of have the similar scenario that I did of like, oh, maybe I read this before, maybe I'd like to do a reread. The Blue Place by Nicola Griffin. This author has local ties. I didn't like this book. I didn't think it was that well done. It is an LGBTQA book. It's a gumshoe kind of detective, or at least that kind of like sort of macho outside of the gender of the person, just the sort of style of detective. I got this in the 10 books for $5 pile, so it felt a bit rummagey, thrifty. I still think, especially if somebody likes, like, this could be a good surprise in a little free library of like, I don't know who this is. Let me read a little bit about, because I do that when I'm at little free libraries. So I suspect that maybe other people do. Let me read a little bit about the author. The book has decent reviews, I think, on Goodreads, which would also help someone want to grab it and it not just sit there and be one of those like mass market paperbacks that kind of fill up the spaces in little free libraries that maybe not as many people would like. The House in the Pines, it's another Reese's. For what it was a decent read. I think this author's I think, yeah, I read the author's note at the end, or maybe the acknowledgments, and this is this author's first work. It was kind of an idea that happened maybe during a degree that then cultivated itself into a book. I didn't find it offensive at all. I didn't find it that captivating at all, especially given that it's a sort of suspense thriller. But I think, given that Reese endorsed it and given that it's a suspense thriller, somebody wants this kind of a read, should do well in a little free library. Within arm's reach, I certainly liked Dear Edward more by this author. This book felt, this might be their first work, and it felt a bit much. That was kind of hard to pull together, I think, but I still really appreciated, I appreciate this author's writing. I think there's one more book by this author, and quite frankly, if I found it, I would read it. I would take it, especially if it were for free, and be interested in reading it. And given the popularity and the fact that Dear Edward became like a Hulu or something show, I think, again, this author will go. I paid for this book, and I got this book. Oh my gosh, I am leaving all kinds of things in this book. Like, oh, somebody else did, and I just left them there, sticky notes and stuff. Okay, yeah. Just passing that along. I paid, so this is a paperback from Goodwill, probably paid $3 for this book. Definitely worth, like, what can you get for $3 anymore? Anyway, definitely worth the time. And I think, yeah, again, I'm going to say the same thing. Might not be the most popular pick at a little free library, but someone's going to recognize that author as the author of Dear Edward. The Pearl That Broke Its Shell by Nadia Hashimi. Given that Afghanistan is, as a setting, is one that could be compelling towards people because of the popularity of Kite Runner and because of sort of the contemporary situation that's happening in Afghanistan, I think that this also, although this book was published, I have to find the publication page and try to squint at it. 2014, so it's still quite contemporary, actually. It's, for a little free library find, I think I have a particular little free library where I think the kind of reads or the kind of books that I find would be similar to this, and I'm quite happy to put that in a little free library. My only hardback is a book of the month. They tend to go pretty well out of little free libraries just because somebody curated it into book of the month, and that in itself could draw attention. This is, again, I got this from a Friends of the Library book sale. I think it was like hardbacks $2, softbacks $1. And it was literally the only book that I found at the, like, I showed up for the sale and the sale was over, but they had the little, like, book shop at the library, which I love to look at every time I go into the library too. And this was a fun contempt fiction, and that I think in and of itself might help somebody want to pull it off in a little free library, but certainly that it's a book of the month. And I think if I don't find a place for this, because I'm going to drive around to my older neighborhoods and do it, I know that my own local, right across from the high school, is probably a decent place to put this book. It's very contemporary. It's at risk of almost being, out of fashion and no longer sort of relevant, as it's 2024, so it's incredibly contemporary, but just because it's such a contemporary sort of topic, it's not got long, but we'll get it out there. And again, I anticipate that it's going to go somewhat well, being its book of the month. So that's it. Those are the books that I'm about to trade or just unhaul. And then my next plan for a video is probably a haul, because I've hauled twice from the Friends of the Library since I've been back. So I've got 4 free books there. I've done some local. I've already unhauled 5 or 6 books in my neighborhood ones that I've been walking around, the little free library. So I might have 10 or so books to talk about in a haul video, because I also never want to just haul and disregard that I should be getting excited. I should be thinking about when and how I want to read this book, and why I picked the book. So till then,